Okay.
As we look at how it is that those of us who work in the provision of media services for our company and for the Republic actually physically fare with COVID.
Right.
Yes, and how it is that procedures that have been set up to ensure that either fears are allayed or preventative measures are taken actually work out when put into practice. But I have enjoyed my time off tremendously.
Okay. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Situation Room, everybody. We'll have big conversations today. We will be talking about COVID and the third wave and what's happening in the country. We'll also have a conversation about the Jubilee Party and what's happening. Can they kick out their deputy party leader, or are they going to do that? What's happening in terms of the discipline within the party, Jubilee Party? Then we'll also look at how this country is being governed by all those that we have given the delegated authority to run things on our behalf. Keep it right here. Let's begin with the issue of COVID-19, tracking the numbers and tracking the vaccination drive and what's happening in the country. So, word has it that this third wave is basically spreading pretty fast.
Yes, it is. Kenya is looking at some really high numbers. If we're looking at what's going on specifically in the country right now, Kenya now has reached 115,000. Take it into perspective. Perspective this way. 11 days ago exactly, Kenya had 109,000 cases. Today, Kenya has 115,031 cases. So an increase of about 6,000 cases in the last 9 days. And we're looking at an average of about 100 and so. A little less than that. I think the lowest we got since the 4th of January was 63 cases in a day. And now, just looking at the numbers that were reported yesterday, if we look at what's going on, 1,064 cases yesterday and 7 new deaths. This is up from the 731 the day before and the 431 the day before that. We're in the third wave. There are certain things that are very clear. And I know that it has gripped a lot of people with panic right now because the questions are, it's what's going on, because it's coming closer home. But if we look at it critically, if we look at it objectively, we were told this was going to happen, number one. We were told also that if indeed there's a second variant of COVID that would then come into the country, we were told that the symptoms would be a little bit different. We were told that the symptoms would be more severe. We were also told that the window period between the point of infection and the onset of symptoms would reduce significantly. We were also told that the window period then between the onset of symptoms and unfortunately that of deterioration unto unfortunately death also would be reduced significantly.
Right.
Which is what we are seeing now. So a lot of people being in hospital, we know that all ICU beds right now, what is being reported from the Ministry of Health, are occupied, more and more occupied. Even people who need oxygen right now, not necessarily being on a ventilator, but being on some kind of apparatus that allows them to breathe a little easier. So a lot more people being infected. But we knew that this was going to happen. Did we let our guard down?
We were told it was going to happen.
We were told it was going to happen.
Whether we internalize that information, which would bring us to the point of actually knowing, because knowing would imply that we then act on that knowledge that we were given.
Not necessarily. You can know something and then not act on it. In this case, the information was given. We were told in December that this was going to come about in March. You can have the information, but that you choose not to do anything, it doesn't mean that you don't know.
See, my argument is then you don't know.
You do know. I know, for example...
You've been informed.
Yeah, you've been informed.
So basically you're looking at it
provides
from
knowledge.
What is knowledge?
Yes, what is the use of this thing to you if you can't operationalize it and if it can't be of some benefit to you? So
it doesn't mean you don't have it.
I'm saying you having it and not having it.
You have information, but you don't have knowledge.
Yep.
But
I'm splitting hairs. No, I'm splitting hairs.
Clearly.
Please continue.
At the end of
she
the day...
She will do that one day when she tells you communication is not communication if the person who is intended recipient has not received the message.
And has not given a response.
Yeah.
The response is now when you have
landed.
communication.
There you go.
In this case, you will be told, the experts told you How you choose to deal with that information is totally up to you.
Okay.
However, you were given the information, right?
Okay.
Now, we were aware that this would happen around this time. Whether or not we did what we needed to do in terms of, all right, do we need to keep social distance? Do we need to keep wearing masks? Do we need to keep washing our hands, etc., etc.?
Critically, do we need to boost our preparedness in terms of health facilities? Do we have enough beds? Do we have... Because the bigger part of it is that we are still talking about what, 1,000 people hospitalized? Surely. How can we say we are at a critical point because 1,000 people are hospitalized?
The reason why we're saying it's at a critical point, see, the thing is, you're not looking at the disease in its entirety. You're saying critical because the facilities that you have available then have all been used up.
And that's what I'm saying.
That's why I'm saying it's at a critical point.
We should not be at a critical point because, like you've said, we were informed by the experts that expect the third wave around this time. So what was put in place between December and March?
Did we ever hear the end of that story? Remember the 5 billion that was given to the counties to increase their capacity?
Yes.
We know what happened when the president sent an audit. And how many counties did we find were actually prepared?
5.
Many. 5. Okay? Now, do we know whether that particular status changed? Do we know whether counties actually went about ensuring that they had a greater capacity? My guess is as good as yours. But if we are talking about full capacity, because our capacity was never increased, I subscribe to Eric's way of looking at this thing, because that isn't the statement we should be making. It should be preceded by, this is what we have done since COVID hit our shores, and we have increased our beds by this capacity. Yes. And despite that, this is where we are. Now, that is a complete picture.
We should be talking about we have an increase in number of patients, but we should not be talking about running out of capacity with 1,000 people. 1,000. Boss.
Because giving the impression that 1,000 is a very high number. It is not a low number, but...
Comparatively, it is not high.
No, it isn't.
It really isn't. And I think, honestly speaking, without the desire to be the doomsday... that's just the thing, that you cannot have a population of 47 million and then 1,000 people are hospitalized, and then you say we're actually in a very, very critical state.
What are you telling us?
What are you saying? That essentially you can't take care of your people.
1,000?
Yes. Essentially saying you can't take care of your people. Now, think about it like this. Truth of the matter is that the majority of those beds that need to take care of people who are in a critical state are in the urban areas, mostly Nairobi. Think about it for a moment. That if people in the rural areas were in need of this critical care, they would not be able to get it.
They would critically die.
Yes. They would not be able to get it.
Yes.
I think those are the matters that we need to be looking at.
Okay.
All right, let's look at a few numbers around the world right now and see what's going on there. If we look at the total number of cases, we know... then also for talking about vaccinations, government is still asking people to come out and get vaccinated. You can't do it right now because we're still dealing with the frontline workers, right? Teachers are going into testing. They started yesterday, probably complete through the week. Vaccination through the week.
They're testing the vaccine.
Well, you could actually say it like that. Health workers are still on the grind in terms of having that done. As of yesterday, the numbers were just under 9,000 in terms of people who had been vaccinated.
Evidently, there's apathy.
Yes, there is.
What about the security forces? They're also frontline.
They've not started yet, but
they haven't started.
It's supposed to be started this
week. And what about the media? The media is also frontline.
Well, according to the formula that has been given by the Ministry of Health, it's not. So right now they're just dealing.
And the justification for that is what exactly?
Why media
you're not in the front of the line?
Not in front of the line.
Media is frontline.
You're not in front of the line.
Yes, we are clearly not in front of the line because you have to be put in front of the line. So we haven't been put in front of the line. Why not?
I don't know.
However, I am actually focusing my angst on the wrong person. Please proceed, my sister.
Okay, so so we'll probably see that rollout happen now. So we're looking at just under 9,000 having been vaccinated so far. Numbers should have been much, much higher by now. But we'll see as the days roll by. 200,000 teachers are supposed to be vaccinated this week in anticipation of the exam starting next week.
Do you know this is the information age, yeah? And with the information age, people read, know, understand, and that spread into information also spreads attitudes. It also spreads perceptions. Okay? Now, the one thing that has done the rounds well are the theories, conspiracy and otherwise, surrounding COVID. People are reluctant.
Yes. Now, the thing...
I think there's two things. Yes, there is reluctance. There is that reluctance to go for the vaccine. And then there's also the logistics of the rolling out of the vaccine. Because if we look at those numbers, I'm sure there are very many more people who are willing to get vaccinated than that have not gotten vaccinated. And it's not because... It's could mainly be because of how fast this exercise is being carried out. Out of 600,000 teachers, at least half of them should be willing to get vaccinated. Readily so, And I'm just not using this basing it on anything. I'm just basing it on the fact that yes, there is COVID reluctance, and then there are those who are willing to take part. It's like security forces as well.
Actually, there's conjecture to support you, because if you look at the willingness with which parents take their children for polio vaccination, vaccines are not things that we have apathy towards, generally speaking. This COVID, with everything that it has around it, you see, with COVID also comes the naysayers. So even as you look at the positivity of it, there are the naysayers and they also have a voice. But if you ask me, the people who perhaps should reconsider their approach to the vaccine are the researchers and the people who work in this field. They don't do a very good job of communicating. If you look at the way the information about vaccine is actually presented, fellow Kenyans, yes, it's a broadcast, okay? However, what does the ministry do to allay the possible fears that people have? What argument do they put forth, a persuasive argument, for instance, when you have people presenting themselves as Catholics who are medical doctors saying, this thing, forget about it. What do you do? Because those people will exist, and part of the duty is not just to tell people what you think you should, but also to convince them that this thing is important and to address the fears that they would have.
Yes. That's true. That's very true. So let's take a break and then we'll look at the headlines shortly. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room. Live stream is up, SpiceFM KE on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. And we are live around the country, Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru, Eldoret, Nyeri, and Malindi. 17 minutes after 6. Remember, from tomorrow, the 18th of March, up until Sunday the 21st, the magical Kenya Open takes place at the current country club. And then next week from Tuesday to Friday the 26th, the Kenya Savannah Classic takes place at the same venue. Both of these are part of the European tour, which has honored the country with a double head of the European tour, this country back to back. You cannot go to the venue to spectate, but you can watch them on KTN News and on our standard digital platforms. Keep it right here, we'll tell you how you'll be able to tune in. Good morning.
Thank you.
The political class, the contestants, everybody is trying to outsteal the other.
Remorse is not taught in any school. Manners is something you get from your mother. You don't get it from your political party.
Why are we so unfocused as a country? Why are we spending money and resources, yet we have real challenges in this country?
This coronavirus pandemic should teach us one thing, that universal healthcare is critical. Because at this point, whether you have a medical card that covers you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
All right. It's 18 degrees. Light rain being experienced in some parts of Nairobi. Highs of 26 and lows of 16 today through the day. A chance of rain later on as well. It's light rain also in Nyeri at 14. Highs of 24. We're looking at that as the low. 15 degrees and partly cloudy in Nakuru. Highs of 27 and lows of 15. It's clear in Eldoret at 13 degrees. Highs of 25 and lows of 13 today. Mostly cloudy conditions in Kisumu at 19. Highs of 30. We're looking at lows of 16 in Kakamega. 18 degrees currently. Highs of 30 today. It's mostly clear in Mombasa at 26, highs of 33, highs of 32 also in Malindi. It's partly cloudy right now at 27. Clear conditions in Kampala at 19, highs of 26 and lows of 18, 25 in Dar es Salaam right now. We'll see light rain through the morning, highs of 32 and lows of 26. 15 degrees and clear in Johannesburg, highs of 25 and lows of 14. Looking at mostly cloudy conditions in Lagos at 28, highs of 31 and lows of 26. 32 the high in Kinshasa, clear conditions at 22, coming down to lows of 24. It's 11 degrees and clear and sunny actually in Beijing. We'll see highs of 12 and lows of 6. 7 degrees and cloudy in Paris at highs of 10. It'll come down to lows of 5. We're looking at clear conditions in London at 7, highs of 10 and lows of 6. And it's also cloudy in New York, highs of 3 and lows of 2. And that's what it looks like through the day today.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
Okay, everybody wants to say hello. And we want to say hello to them.
Everybody's up. Beijing is up, and that's where Master Dan is and says, good morning. Already tuned in from Kino is where Otieno Odera is. Welcome back, guys. We missed you. Well, we missed you too. Spicing up Mombasa, and that's Robert Mbogo. Harold Ayodo says, good morning, team. Welcome back. Keep the mature discourse alive. We shall try. Jeffrey Mochama says, good morning from Kisumu Kibos. And Cyprian Mora is tuned in. Happy to be back and says, good day. Good day to you, sir. Duke Keanche. Morning live, streaming live from Mombasa, rather, and says, good morning to everybody. Kennedy Oma, good morning. Jokama. Okay.
The people of my mother.
You've got that one. All right. Washira Wilfred says, morning all. Eric, Ndu, and CT. Gishugo is bright as a situation room. Well, thank you.
You know where Gishugo is?
Gishugo is where
Kirinyaga?
Karoa is from.
Yes,
Very
exactly.
good.
Excellent.
All right. And says, good old CT is back. Yes, he is. Waterman Jeffries tuned in from Hennepin County in Minnesota.
The old man of Borneo is back to the show.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, go on.
Stanley Ngashistan says, good morning, great trio. Welcome back, CT. You must have missed the show. You are so lively already. It's like the sun shining. Everybody's tuning in this morning. Big respect to you too. Frank Chwer. Starbuck Steve is tuning from Eldoret. Bonnie Wheatbaker is tuning from Malongo this morning. El Dorado. I believe that's Eldoret. In Skiza, and that's from. And then we also have Alfred Lucorito already tuned in. Bade Ashley tuned in from Machakos. And we missed you guys. Missed you too. Vincent has said something very long in Kiswahili. Good morning from us to everybody.
Hamjambo wangwana, mwalimu akiwaacha wanafunzi wake bila kuwajulisha. Kasisi awaache kondoo wake na mtetezi wa wanyonge naye awaache anaowatetea. Hali itakuwaje? Mimi mnipigie pole kwa M-Pesa sababu mlituacha kwa giza.
Jana.
The message translated into English, M-Pesa works in darkness.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Sawa Vincent, angalia M-Pesa yako. Iko kitu. Iko kitu.
And do not tire. Keep looking at it.
Just keep looking. City, today's proverb.
Right. Threats and insults never rule a country. Threats and insults never rule a country.
Is this a proverb you?
Yes, from Zambia. It's actually Zambian. Yes.
He's from a Zambian opposition leader. Or is it a proverb of the...
Right now on this continent, where we have issues with the opposition isn't really Zambia. And if there is, it's just the normal political here and there, if I may call it that. But think about it. If you look at common political narratives that masquerade as political speech and political positioning, in many parts of the world, that conversation has degenerated, in many cases, to just sheer insults. That isn't really the issue. The issue is we've learned to expect it and accept it. That when politicians have opposing, positions, not views,
Right.
that they must insult each other. Yes. Now that really doesn't tell us anything about their capacity to actually do the good they keep telling us that they want to do.
Threat and insults doesn't rule a country.
No.
Okay, let's look at the headlines.
Right.
Right. Can I start with this one? Because I see the Nation and the Standard both have carried the story of one departed journalist, Robin Jogu.
Yes.
Robin Jogu was a very close friend and a colleague. Robin Jogu passed on the day before yesterday after undergoing treatment for COVID-19. He was in hospital for a couple of weeks and he succumbed to this. The media fraternity is in mourning after the death of Robin Jogu. At the time of his death, he was the managing editor for radio at Royal Media Services. Before that, he was managing editor for radio in the Nation Media Group. And before that, he had worked for very many years at the Capital FM, where I worked with him for over a decade. He is a good man. I was with him in college as well. I know the man very well. Saw him in hospital a number of times. He's one of those people who was really, really committed to not just the profession, but humanity. And so, yes, there's a story about Robin Jogu today.
And from what I read in the Nation, he was also a member of the Kiambu County Assembly.
No. That's a different person.
Are you sure?
Yes. Robin was a journalist working for a Nation Media Group. So, on the same nights that Robin passed away, an MCA also passed away. An MCA of the Kiambu County Assembly also passed away.
Ah, yes. So the Kiambu County Assembly person was one other person?
Yes.
A televangelist was yet another person?
Yes.
And your friend Robin Jogu was another person?
Yes.
These were among the 7 people who died of COVID-19?
Yes.
On that day?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, other headlines.
All right, so let's look at one that has kind of gotten people all riled up. Uproar as MPs burn millions in Dubai trip. It is estimated that each of the MPs will get about 1.28 million shillings, which they receive at an allowance of 143,000 shillings per day. A benchmarking trip by legislators to the United Arab Emirates has elicited mixed reactions. Coming at a time when Kenya is battling the third wave of COVID-19. Amid a frail economy, the MP's trip to Dubai in the UAE for training on public finance rubbed many the wrong way. The MPs left last Thursday and are expected back on Saturday. It is expected that each MP will get about 1.28 million shillings. Given that they receive an allowance of 143,000 shillings a day, this would translate to over 20.5 million in allowances for the 16 MPs who went to Dubai. Based on Kenya Airways billing, for instance, a return ticket to Dubai on the business class would cost 125,000 shillings. This translates to about 2 million on air tickets for the legislators. The Standard could not immediately establish what airline the MPs booked. According to the government's regulations, legislators and top state officials are entitled to fly business on any flight that lasts over 4 hours. A flight from Nairobi to Dubai takes about 5.5 hours. Mohammed Hersi, the chair of the Kenya Tourism Federation and director of operations of Pullman Tours and Safaris yesterday, reacted to the news of the MP's trip to Dubai. I love training, but when we are broke as a nation with empty hotels in Nairobi, would it not have made more sense to have the trainers come to Nairobi? We are busy sending out the little forex we earn to Dubai. Look at that room, nothing special. Please reject such moves. So now there's a lot of uproar about this. Yesterday, National Assembly Clerk Michael Sialai said the program being attended by MPs is known as the Masterclass in Public Financial Management and is tailor-made for members serving in finance-related committees of the House.
Yes.
It is meant to empower the MPs in obtaining as in-depth and comprehensive knowledge of theoretical as well as practical aspects of public financial management. And National Assembly is facilitating it as part of its capacity building for members.
It's important that the National Assembly does this because it's important that members of those committees actually understand how to interrogate the reports, how to discuss, and how to demand for accountability and better management of our money. That's very, very important. It's important that they attend such seminars and master classes regularly. What is the dispute here is taking, how many are they?
16.
16 people, and it's just 16 members of parliament.
Yes.
Of course, we're not talking about parliamentary staff who've also gone.
No.
There must be members of technical committees in parliament who have gone. Maybe some people who work in the parliamentary budget office and such who are also there. So you'll have a delegation of more than 20 people leaving the country to go and sit and attend a seminar for a couple of days and then come back. And they're being facilitated by, let's say, 4 or 5 or so masterclass trainers. Would it not have been better and easier and cheaper to bring in the facilitators of the training, sit in parliament, get a boardroom in parliament, don't even go to a hotel, get
And
a
Zoom
boardroom
the thing.
in parliament and train? They want practical, so you can even do that. Bring them here, train. What is it that you must say that you know you've gone to Dubai to train? Why?
Why are you bringing logic into this discussion?
That's a problem, huh? That's a problem.
Do you really think that if the trainers, master trainers and mistress trainers and all actually came to Kenya to train, do you think this delightful per diem of 1.2 million would still be afforded to the MPs? I mean, surely, Eric, even when you think about this matter, do you think that would happen? And do you think that there'd be an opportunity for them vicariously to be in Dubai and to enjoy, apart from the training, the 3 hours they have, to conduct a little shopping, a little sightseeing, and really take in this training within the environs where training of this nature is guaranteed to be absorbed by the very sinews of these MPs, surely?
I'm asking too much, right? I'm asking for too much.
How many MPs went?
Who is conducting this training? Just go further in this. You'll find who is conducting the training.
Okay. The Dubai-based Zoe Talent Solutions is hosting the training,
Right.
and the leader of the minority, John Badi, is leading the delegation.
Right.
Zoe Talent Solution bills itself as a global training and consulting firm that has been serving leading businesses in many countries. Its head office is in Dubai, while it has another office in London. It also has training venues in, guess where? Nairobi, Accra, Cairo, Cape Town, Johannesburg, Kigali, Dar es Salaam, Windhoek, and Lagos. So it's possible that they could have
They
done
have
this
a
in
training
Nairobi.
office. According to what
According
they
to-
are saying, they have a training office in Nairobi, but they chose to go to the headquarters because we are dealing with the serious matters here. Or what would be the other reason?
Because you want to travel. Let's
How
just call
many,
it as it is.
how many MPs traveled?
16.
16
How many
members of
MPs do we have?
2, 3,
300 and what?
40 something.
347.
47.
Yes.
So, what's the big fuss? Just 16.
Only 16.
Out of. You know, the question of who it is that we are dealing with must, in my mind, take center stage in my thinking and talking about leaders, wannabe leaders, would-be political leaders, because it isn't a question of you come from my neck of the woods. It isn't a question of that you have a so-called mother tongue that is similar to mine. And it isn't that you have been elected once or twice. You cannot claim and want to be a leader of any nature. And yet the very essence of leadership, which is to look after the interests and the welfare of your people, is something you constantly and persistently not just ignore, but you abrogate. You go against it it's like with every opportunity, you go against it.
Yep. And this is what you want to do every time.
And I'm saying this is what you are. But then I'm also saying this, that when you support people like this, please don't think you're better. You are exactly like them. Yes. In the same breath as you say, oh, this leader who was this, and you describe them in a negative manner, so are you, because you support them. You support someone who has some semblance of similarity to you.
You know, this order can very easily be controlled by the Parliamentary Service Commission, which is in charge of running the affairs of Parliament.
Yes. And do they?
Chairman of this is the Speaker of the National Assembly. The spokesperson of the Mount Kenya region. 27 minutes to 7 o'clock. Let's take a break and look at traffic and what's happening on the roads, and then look at other headlines. Good morning.
Spice FM, Malindi. Spice FM.
It's getting hot in here.
Oh, everybody steals. It's better a thief who brings something small back. And I say to myself, there's no better thief. A thief is a thief, period.
All those bribes, how much they are getting per year, how much inconvenience they are causing. As much as you call it a small case, it's worth it to be convicted.
The truth is, we are a tribal nation. Because if we were not tribal, and I want to go back to this, you cannot continue walking around with a mug which is clean outside and it's rotten inside.
We have become a fuliza country. We have mortgaged our country because of debt.
You've got one chef working and the assistant chef wakati anatakana koroge unga nini hayuko.
This is the Situation Room. The only way to
All
start
right, so
your
we're still
day.
looking at that traffic that is going to affect Mombasa Road throughout the day today. Outbound, it starts all the way at the SGR, actually further ahead, and then coming out through to General Motors. The little section right around Airtel coming in affects traffic on Mombasa Road. It affects traffic coming from the Southern Bypass, and it also affects traffic coming from industrial area. That starts as early as 5 o'clock in the morning, and we're likely to see this go through the day. Traffic is still hot and heavy, even at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. That's what we expect as we see that construction continue. All right, we're looking at traffic coming off of Thika Road. As you get to the Pangani underpass, going to take you some time. It's really slow there, but it's moving. We're not at a bumper-to-bumper situation. Kiambu Road is piling up already, but we will see that open up as you get out past Ngara. Use Wangari Maathai Road. That's your best bet right now. Right now, the eastern, southern, northern, and Red Hill bypass is looking pretty good. You're going to need the Red Hill bypass if you're in a hurry to get out of Westlands, because sticking in that will take you some time. Uhuru Highway already crawling along. Not bumper to bumper yet. Still early pickings, but we'll see what it looks like in about half hour or so. We need you to be careful, number one. Roads looking slippery in some parts of the city of Nairobi as well. We'll take a look into Mombasa and we'll look out west towards Nakuru in a bit. Talk to us on SpiceFM KE on Twitter should you need to. Text us 40127. It's Wednesday. We want to keep things moving.
Are you ready? Okay. Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Let's do the MPs for a bit, okay? So, Speaker of the National Assembly has called a special sitting tomorrow for MPs to come and debate and discuss a report by one of the committees, and this is on the supplementary budget. So the National Treasury, of course, wants a supplementary budget passed so that it can get some money to do some stuff. And members of Parliament have been called out of their busy and relaxing recess to come back and have this conversation for one day, one afternoon, and go home. However, MPs have said, aha, you want us to come back and discuss supplementary budget. Here is our chance to bargain. You have not released all the funds that you should have released for CDF in this financial year. Now, if you do not tell us where our CDF money is and when it's coming, this thing, we are going to frustrate it. Now, led by MPs like Simba Arati, Caleb Kosichanyi, and Nelson Koech, they say that their unity in championing public interest cuts across the political and ethnic affiliations. The MPs will either boycott the special sitting, thereby causing a quorum hitch, or shoot down every motion supporting the government's agenda. Until the CDF issue is fully addressed, the government should not even attempt to table supplementary budget and the bills, because we'll shoot all of them down. Members want the CDF money made available as allocated in this financial year's budget. Nothing short of this will make us change our mind. So yeah, the National Treasury does not have money clearly because they have not been disbursing money to the counties on time. They have not been disbursing money to the constituencies for the CDF on time. They are expecting Parliament tomorrow to pass the supplementary budget. MPs have said, for this money, give us money. Nikubaya. Let's look at other headlines then.
You know something? Politicians doing their thing. Today is an interesting day for the Irish Republic. It's called St. Patrick's Day. That's their national day. Okay? Shouldn't we also baptize our day?
Ours?
It's called?
We have them.
We have
Madaraka Day,
Jamhuri
Mashujaa
Day.
Day, Jamhuri Day. It's all baptized.
All baptized. There's no saint attached to it.
And there's no shamrock. But, you know.
Well, St. Patrick was a 5th century Romano-British Christian missionary and bishop. Okay? But the Irish Republic has had a relationship with Kenya for the last 100 years. Mostly through the missionaries who actually came to Kenya. Some helped establish hospitals, schools. Now, today, one of the things that is happening, there are 1,500 Irish people. By the worldwide, the population of the Irish and those of Irish descent is something like 70 million. Okay, but today, 1,500 such people join Kenyans in marking something very fundamental. It began in Australia some times back, but for lack of a better word, let me call it a green movement. Ensuring that there's greenery. The focus of attention is the Mara. Okay? Making it green. If you look at the flag, the Irish flag, green plays a very, very important role.
Yes.
It's a very, very important color for the Irish. So to all those who are of Irish descent and those who belong to that country and those who are in this country, we wish you what do you wish them? A happy, pleasant...
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you very much.
That's it?
Yes.
Okay.
So enjoy that.
Enjoy the day. Enjoy the day.
Okay. So, spectre of another long holiday, new headache for parents. Haba, I don't understand. Anyway, as if the 10-month COVID-19 break last year wasn't stressful enough for parents, they have to brace themselves for yet another long holiday period as schools close this week. Across the nation, guardians are steeling themselves for the drama awaiting them when they return home in the evening to the hysterical chorus of "Mum, Dad, we're bored." So it's an issue that people are already complaining about. Why not embrace your children? Okay, so due to the unpleasant experiences of the last vacation when many children went astray due to excessive freedom and peer pressure, the recess presents another headache on how to keep them occupied. The learners have completed the second term of the 2020 academic year, which was lost to the pandemic, and will stay away to allow for the administration and marking of national exams. Only candidates sitting the KCPE and KCSE will remain in school. The marking will be done from April 19th to May 7th. Grade 4 learners will have the longest holiday of 18 weeks, while the rest will be out for 7 weeks.
18 weeks is 4 months.
Yep.
4.5 months.
Yes.
What?
Yeah. So essentially, because they have finished grade 4.
So
because they
months.
went back to school before everybody else did, remember?
Yeah.
So they have their term ahead. So they need that holiday, and then they will come
So
and
they
join
can
grade
catch up
5
now.
with everybody else. You see? Okay. So now parents are stealing against this. And the Pioneer CBC class currently undertaking an assessment will remain at home since they will complete the academic year this week, having opened school earlier than the rest in October 2020.
Yeah.
All right, so that's what we're looking at. Children are going on holiday. Exams are starting next week. And then they're going to be on break for 7 weeks for everybody and then 18 weeks for grade 4, respectively.
Okay.
So parents are saying, what are we going to do with you?
How are we going to keep them busy?
Yeah.
How are we going to keep them busy? There's also the big opportunity of, not opportunity really, but big risk of getting more dropouts from school. Remember when schools reopened this year, very many did not go back to school. Reasons: went into labor, ventures, got jobs,
got married.
Others got married, others got kids, and now they were not able really to come back to school despite schools making it available for them. So all those complications. Now, if you have another long holiday, I think it would have been very nice if a program had been rolled out across the country in various communities for how to keep the kids engaged. And it's possible, but maybe I'm asking for it's too much again.
Eric, you're mumbling.
It's okay. Let's just go on.
The thing is, it's the reality that we have to deal with. Huh?
Yes.
There is nothing that COVID has done with great expertise than disrupting what we considered normal. whether it is processes, whether it is procedures, whether it's our lives, everything has been disrupted. So, arguably, we are in a constant state of disruption. Yes. Now, the sooner we get our minds attuned to these changes, the better off we'll be.
Eish.
Yes. Because you stand a better chance of dealing with the problem realistically when you see it for what it is. These changes are not about to end tomorrow or the day after. So lingering in the past and saying, oh, it used to be like this, oh, that past isn't there. The present is this one. This is it. This is what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
When things change, we will know and we will see.
We will see. We will. So, can I tell you something?
Yes.
Kenya Power is broke. And they need a bit. Okay, I'm telling you what's here in the paper. As you're looking at me like that, Kaka. Broke Kenya Power needs bailouts to stay afloat, according to an audit.
Okay.
The country's sole power distribution company is technically insolvent and requires a government bailout to stay afloat, according to the latest audit report. The report by the Auditor General Nancy Gathongu for the year ending June 30th, 2020, shows that Kenya Power recorded a loss before tax of 7.04 billion shillings.
Right.
The situation is made worse by the fact that the liabilities of 117.5 billion far outweigh its current assets of 43.6 billion by 74.8 billion shillings.
And why are they broke exactly?
The company has reported negative working capital position for the fourth consecutive year, according to the report.
Yes.
Although strategic initiatives have been undertaken to improve the financial situation, Gathongu says they appear not to have yielded the intended results. This may cast significant doubt on the company's ability to continue as a growing concern. The report further notes that the power purchase agreements with power producers, which account for 54% of the total cost of sales, are significant to the financial woes bedeviling the company.
Right.
Right? So that's one of the major issues.
It also casts a very dark shadow on the person who is at the head of this institution.
Doesn't it just?
Yes.
So now, this is considering that the fixed nature that may have adversely affected the company's performance, resulting in the huge loss. So it's fixed. These agreements that they have are fixed, and they seem to not be able to get out of them.
Fixed.
They're all fixed, and they have to
Yeah.
be. They have a fixed agreement with Kenyan. They have a fixed
I
agreement
am not
with,
arguing against that.
Liquid.
Yes, fixed on what? I mean, is there a contract that doesn't have an escape clause?
There must be.
There has to be an escape clause.
There is an escape clause, of course. But I think the fixing here is basically looking at the amount that you shall pay to purchase this power has been agreed upon and is regulated also by the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority. It's clearly set that Kenyan is not going to give you power and then you determine, this time we don't want this many kilowatt hours or megawatts. We want at this price. All that is agreed and it's
Eric,
all regulated.
I am actually in agreement with you. You see, the raising of my voice on this matter has to do more with the reality that we faced on other issues regarding contracts. And that is, it also provides an opportunity to build in certain situations, certain occurrences that guarantee, for instance, that this country will never be, this particular organization will never be out of debt.
Yeah.
We've heard experts telling us how corruption is budgeted into a project. Okay? We are now saying that there are agreements that were arrived at and they should have been. Because in the absence of this agreement, what we now have would not be. But if we didn't have a past when these problems did not plague us as much as they did, I would understand. There's also the argument that, you know something? When we expanded the provision of power, the way we went about it guaranteed that we would be in debt. All that I understand. But everything I read, it's like these guys don't earn money and people don't pay for power. And we all know what happens if you don't pay for power. That is where I'm coming from.
The investment that they've put in versus the amount of money that they collect
even on a daily,
is putting them at that position. Where you have 70 billion shillings, looking at the assets versus the liabilities. 117 billion in liabilities and assets of
42.6.
I would like to talk to someone who can verify these figures and tell us that the things that they did actually amount in terms of cost to the cost that they're presenting to us. The billions are fine, just keep rolling them out. But there's a need to understand. Exactly, because why, if it's 170 billion, why wasn't 350 billion instead? Why limit it to 170? Okay. Right. Daily business daily.
Yeah. Okay. Really business. Yep.
KRA starts home seizures in city over land rates. Simply put, people have been given notices. You own property, you haven't been paying land rates, they are coming for you.
KRA is collecting revenue for Nairobi.
They are not. Yes, they are going to take your house. They are going to take your building. They are going to take your property if you don't pay rates. It's not complicated.
Despite the extensions, people have.
They've given that. Notices have been given. They've written letters. They're going to take it.
Yes. What? Okay. And this is KRA.
This KRA. And the law allows them to do that.
Yes. Precisely that. Yes. Okay. Now, there's a woman who was murdered and her body dumped in Kerarapon, in Ngong, Kajiado County, right? She was a director with the National Lands Commission. So police are trying to retrace her last moments, as it emerged that she was murdered less than 24 hours after going missing. Then there's also information that is trickling in yesterday with the investigators, including the fact that she may have been raped before being strangled and her body dumped in the thicket. So police spent the day yesterday at Kerarapon trying to look and seeing what information do we have, what kind of forensic pieces of evidence can we collect from here. At the city mortuary, a post-mortem exam that was scheduled to take place yesterday aborted due to unknown reasons, but detectives assured that it will happen today. The nation has established that Wambua's body was found half naked with only a black floral blouse on. She had no shoes, she had no skirt or trouser, and on her neck was a black piece of cloth tied around tightly. Detectives are saying this is what they're treating as the murder weapon. An analysis of the body shows that it had no visible injuries serious enough to cause death. This was, one of those gruesome. So if you think about now what was happening, the background to this story, police are hoping to establish whether there was a threat on Wambua's life in order to crack open this case. She was supposed to be cross-examined in the 122 million shillings corruption case, where she's a star witness. And this is a case about the government advertising agency, where they accused former boss Dennis Chebitwe, former broadcasting principal secretary Sami Temere, Lugari MP Ayub Sivula, his two wives, Gatweri Ringera and Helen Kemboi, and 18 other people. She was a star witness for the prosecution in this particular case.
It brings back very, very dark memories of similar occurrences in our history. At the time, a former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Robert Huko, died. Not long after that, we were told mysteriously.
Yes.
But unfortunately, the mystery just seems to surround people who were close to him. Died one after the other, after the other, after the other. Died. Some people had run away from the country.
Yep.
Then we had the issues at The Hague.
Yep.
And somehow these witnesses who were supposed to present themselves, it's like one after the other, again mysteriously died. Now, even if I don't believe in conspiracy theories, I am forced to give it some consideration. Surely, people don't just die, especially when there's some cases that are supposed to be heard, and presumably it is assumed that they might be in possession of information that may be adverse to the individuals involved in the case. No.
Aye. People just disappear. I think maybe there was an attempt, even in The Hague, by the prosecutor's office to ask the judges to actually put in a clause that says, if a witness has written a witness testimony which has been provided to the prosecutor, and then during hearing of this case, a witness disappears mysteriously, either disappears, is found dead, or just suddenly recants their testimony without sufficient reason, the judges should be able to look at that and rule whether to still admit their initial testimony as part of evidence. And not just say, simply because we cannot find this witness to bring them here physically to testify, then their witness testimony goes. Like, one of the ways of dealing with this and making sure also protecting witnesses would be that.
It is. We do have in our constitution provision for protecting witnesses. We do have in our constitution a witness protection capacity, I have never seen, read, heard of a situation where that has been put into operation. Never. And I'm told it exists.
It does.
Yes.
Page 14 of The Nation today. 1.4 million Kenyans face starvation. And these at least 1.4 million people are facing acute hunger in the country, double the number reported in 2020, according to a report by the government and the UN. The food security assessment carried out by the Kenya Food Security Steering Group, KFSSG, county steering groups, and the UN states that at least 238,000 people are in need of emergency food distribution today in 8 counties: Mandera, Wajir, Garissa, Tana River, Marsabit, Samburu, Turkana, and Isiolo. The government and the World Food Programme attribute the increase in the number of people at risk of acute starvation to below normal performance of the short trains, thus impacting negatively on an already fragile food security situation. So, the people who needed food in the last report and the people who need food now, double. 1.4 million Kenyans needing starvation. 238,000 need food, urgent food today. But our money is being spent to take MPs to Dubai so that we can go and meet there. Government spokesman Colonel Cyrus Aguna, what did he say yesterday?
Stop complaining, Kenyans. There are European countries, you can't even compare the tax that is on their citizens to that which is being taxed here in Kenya. So stop complaining. How is government supposed to run? People are supposed to be paid. Government business is supposed to be done. Where do you expect the money to come from? These are things he said yesterday. So why are you complaining? You can't compare the...
Colonel Aguna should change his speechwriter. We know the problem isn't the issue of collecting taxes. That's not the problem. The problem is what are the use that our taxes are put to. Exactly. It's always the issue. By all means, collect taxes. Those European countries that are being referred to, why people don't kick a fuss is because their governments provide them with the services they promise they're going to provide.
Look, by the time somebody, and we had the same conversation on the same day, by the time somebody is taxing you 60%, fear not go greet them, not do anything for you. As in, for them, where they stand, I tax you almost 60%, which is what happens in countries like Finland and Denmark.
Yeah.
But trust me, the 40% that you're left with, you almost don't touch it.
You don't need to.
Because the government will bring things to your door: water, gas, electricity, Wi-Fi,
schools.
The roads. You're not even thinking about it. Your children are going to school for free.
University.
Hospitals, you walk into
free.
Up to university, you walk into a hospital, you're paying penance for major operations and surgery, anything that you need. Inpatient care is absolutely free because all of that tax translates to something. You spend less than an equivalent of how much on groceries per month because all of that is almost zero rated because of that 60% that you spend. That's why you find them coming to Kenya on holiday. You think they're millionaires. They're not.
No, they're not.
Because they have some extra money to play around with because the government has taken care of everything.
No. In fact, anyone who is a simple worker can actually take a holiday.
Somebody comes to Mombasa and he's lying on the beaches of Malindi and tells you that he's a painter. That's his profession.
Or taxi driver.
Yeah. What are we talking about? Let's just be honest. And I think, we have to pepper this thing just even a little bit. Just a little bit of honesty. When you're giving those examples, let's look from end to end. If you're giving the examples and saying some European countries are being taxed more... Okay, you said we'll talk about it later, eh? So
let's talk about it later.
Okay,
look at what Colonel Cyrus Aguna is saying, and then let's look at what 238,000 people, Kenyans, are eating today.
Let's take this thing further. And since we're in Europe, the court in the UK determined today that people... well, it was yesterday.
We're waking up to the news.
Yes, when I say today, I mean...
The today of today.
Thank you, Eric.
Okay.
You understand these things so very, very well. Uber, okay? Uber, the company, owes those who perform taxi services as drivers the rights that every employee has in the UK. Meaning, benefits, salary, healthcare, all those things. The argument had been by Uber that they are not employees, they're self-employed.
They're just contractors.
Yes.
They're service providers.
The highest court in the land disagreed with them and said, Apana.
These are employees.
They're employees. So you will pay.
So now, that means that if you hail an Uber, you'll start now being deducted for those things.
My friend, the Uber person has to be paid. They're an employee. You see, there's something about the law and the practicality of it, and the changes that are unexpected. Do you really think that, for instance, the Uber drivers would have taken this matter to court if they had been happy with the terms of their contracts or their contractual agreements?
No.
But the same issues and the same arguments that those who work with Uber in this country have had, complaining about the other, this is a precedent that will give these guys no end of headaches.
Hey.
Yes.
This one is a big one.
Oh, it's a massive
one. This is a big one. Because basically what you're saying is that they deserve all the benefits.
Yes, they do.
Of an employee.
Yes, they do. You can appeal it, but that's it. That's what they've decided.
That's what the judges have decided. Yep. Hey, some big news coming there. I'm sure the Uber drivers in this country will be monitoring that and seeing the implementation of that and seeing how can they do the same in this country. Keep it right here. In the next hour, we're going to have a conversation about COVID-19, this third wave of COVID-19 in the country. What's happening? And the vaccination drive. What's happening there as well? We're seeing a number of European countries also saying that they're not going to use this AstraZeneca vaccine. Why is that? We'll be speaking to Dr. Moses Masika, virologist, who will be joining us shortly. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room. Keep it right here because, well, we'll have the Dr. Moses Masika at 7 o'clock. And then at 8 o'clock, we'll be speaking to Jubilee Secretary General Raphael Chuju. Talk about Jubilee and the CSR Jubilee. We'll also be live on KTN Home between 7 and 9. It's now 7 o'clock.
Spice up your life. Spice FM, Nakuru.
All right, so it's hot and heavy on Mombasa Road this morning, outbound. And yes, we do have a sprinkle in some parts of the city, so the roads are becoming a little bit more slippery. We need to take care concerning that. Industrial area, construction going on, Likoni, Lunga, that entire area. They say they'll be done in about 2 weeks, but let's just wait and see how that goes. For now, it's causing a lot of traffic coming out then onto Jogoo Road. We see some traffic then as you approach the roundabout. Onto Landys Road, headed into the CBD. It's moving quite slowly, but not bumper to bumper, so we're all right in terms of movement this morning. The bypass at the